And thanks for joining us for this part of the show, the AM Talk. As always, we'll be linking up with the views you post on social media, and we have a page on Facebook, Join News on TV, and a handle on Twitter, Join News on TV. But also make sure that you touch base after the show or even within the show to watch the feed of videos that we're always uploading on YouTube. And the channel's name is My Joy Online. Several thousands of videos there for you to watch, as always. My guest for the morning, Theophilus Tetechai, is a Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central, and a Member of Parliament for Bekwai is Joe Wise. Joe Osei-Usu. Thanks for joining me, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There's been an issue with fires, and especially this time of the year when we have this type of weather, always associated with these types of blaze. The Central Medical Stores based in Tema apparently has been caught in the blaze. The question is, what do we do as far as these institutions are concerned, or in terms of oversight responsibilities? And this is also coming in the back of a fire incident involving some meters, costing the nation or the ECG some $2.6 million US. Fire.
Well, first, good morning to your listeners, and particularly those who are listening to me from the Bekwai constituency, anywhere within my constituency. I wish them all a Happy New Year. And thank you for the opportunity to do that.
And Happy New Year to you too.
Happy New Year to you. Both in the case of the Central Medical Stores and the ECG warehouse burning, I think that there's more to it than just Hamatan. Because usually what Hamatan does is bushfires. In none of these cases do we have evidence that bushfires spread from the bush into the warehouses. Indeed. So far, from what I've read here at the Central Medical Stores, there's probably nothing to look at. There's no fiscal existence of the stores anymore. Is raised. So it may be difficult to now to determine how the fire started. But in the case of the ECG meters, for example, what is strange is that the ECG meters was sharing a portion of a Dupress warehouse. It was only ECG side that got burnt down. The remainder of the...
That was the emergency efforts by the fire service.
Well, fire service goes in and the confidential information...
So all you're saying is that once there's a lot that meets the eye, it means that investigations should be intensified.
Indeed, in this one it is it's on record that the Central Medical Stores have been come up for investigations. The minister has set it out for investigation into its operations. Yes. And before you say, Jack, everything is gone. So what are you going to investigate? So this more than meets the eye. I think that Hamatan should not come in at all. Hamatan usually affects bush fires, bush burning. But in this case, we should be looking more into the possibility or probability of arson, deliberate fire setting to cover up misdeeds in both cases. I suspect that's where we should be looking at.
What's your view on the incident?
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I wish to say good morning to all our viewers and then wish them a Happy New Year. Then this is the first time that we are here for the new year. Yeah, and it's proper we do that. Well, it has not been a very good story, something for us to talk about, especially on a day like this, when resources of government are being understretched, and there's the need for us to find ways of reducing the burden on government in terms of resources. My colleague has expressly given us his views, which I support in some instances, in the sense that for me, this is not just an ordinary fire outbreak, especially when we have been informed that the minister had then called for a form of audit into how the place was being managed. And looking at the time that this incident occurred, I don't know whether it has been reported correctly that 9:45 a.m. And 9:45 a.m.
there should be personnel.
Workers are supposed to be in office. Is that not it?
Definitely.
Exactly. And therefore, if such a thing is going to occur, at least there's no, we have, before you see smoke, that means there's fire, isn't it?
It's like that, there should be fire detectors everywhere.
And even if there's no fire detectors, it's not something that occurred, let's say, midnight, where maybe security officers were just outside watching the place and they had no opportunity to enter the premises as a result of maybe the place being locked up. But 9:45 a.m., if the time given by the graphic is something to stand by, then a lot of questions needs to be answered. And I believe that it's not just the quenching of the fire and then looking at the cost that we've incurred as a country, but then we also have to know the sort of items in stock, the cost, and how it happened, so that Ghanaians will be in a better position to appreciate exactly what has taken place. We all know the weather is not favorable, and this is something that we all know, that at times like this, we are prone to fire outbreaks, and we need to be very extra careful in the way we handle things, especially equipment that can easily catch fire within our various offices. But it is very strange. It is, for me, it is very strange, and we need to
beyond the undercurrent or underlying factor of what may have precipitated or be behind these very fires. And we're talking about two incidents that have come within a short space of time. There's always a subject about adequate supervision and management of public office. And if you're put in a certain managerial position and not necessarily being designated as a manager or called a manager, but you're having a managerial oversight role, how adequately do you do that? As you answer that very question, you tie into the fact that the politicians are always blamed for this and that. Yeah. But if we do a content analysis of issues that have come up throughout the last 12 months, what the public pest has been caused by the inactions of public officers is more than we've witnessed the politician causing the state over the last 5 years.
Exactly. Well, first and foremost, I think the reason the politicians get blamed is that by our own constitutional arrangements, we've given all the power to the politicians to appoint people. But if you study leadership, one of the first rules of a leader is how to select a team. So how did you choose the person you call a manager? The head of the agency and the people beneath him. How much power have you given them to be able to perform the roles? You know, so one, I think every manager, your personal commitment to your roles is central. Then there's the issue of your ability. What is it that I require to do the work? Often in Ghana, we complain, oh, we don't have this, we don't have that. But people are using that as an excuse to refuse to do or fail to perform their managerial responsibilities, their leadership roles. I think that what even we call managerial responsibility, in my view, lower level leadership. We tend to place too much emphasis on the higher level leadership, but we need leadership at every level. In studio, you are in charge here. You, in your mind's eye, must set your agenda or set your vision. This is the way I want my show to be like. And that should influence the way your crew, your guests, and everybody working with you should behave. And that is your leadership role here. It's different from your leadership role by your general manager, the leadership role of the MD of the group, and so on. You know, so the lower level leadership roles are not being played well. Oh. And one, like you've already said, in Ghana it's easy to blame somebody else. Oh, this man is supposed to bring the money, he didn't bring it. Oh, that person was supposed to finish the budget, he didn't. Oh, these people were supposed to do procurement and did this. We are always blaming somebody else. But the political leadership can never escape responsibility, because actually we choose. Some of the people we choose and appoint to places are dudes, people, obviously, if we're not looking at political considerations and loyalty and family and friends, we should not have any reason to appoint those people to those places. That's why politicians take the blame. And in this instance, I'm not sure what happened or how it happened.
Oh, definitely. We're just talking about the incident and how we can connect it to as far as holding people accountable and making sure that we derive the right sense of responsibility from those who are appointed to take a position. Yeah. We're talking about the middle level, perhaps a supervisor or somebody who has been appointed, etc. Now, now, how do we make sure we have to get to the bottom of this very subject? I'm asking this because for a string of fire incidents we had at markets, we needed, was it the FBI or some other people to come and help us unravel whatever mystery there was that we still even don't know after all those assistance. Yeah.
You see, fire outbreaks, disasters, that sometimes it's very difficult to actually unravel the causes and even where exactly, what actually caused the fire outbreak. But you see, as a country, we need to grow, because these are things that will continuously happen. And the best solution to such problems is to ensure that our offices, security measures are put in place to forestall some of these happenings. As you rightly said, politicians, we have the oversight responsibility. But you see, I've always said that when it comes to day-to-day running of our institutions, it becomes very difficult for the politician to even influence how it is done. But the moment you try influencing how it should be done, then people begin to rise up against your stewardship. And sometimes, as a result of that, you are taken out of office because technically it is creating a backlash for government. So some of our ministers do suffer such disturbances when they enter into office, and as a result, they are taken away. So the status quo always continues. But I think as a country, we've gotten to a period where we need to look at the bottom-up approach, because our concentration all this while has been from the top to bottom, and it is not helping us, seriously. We need to consider both, the top to the bottom and then the bottom upwards, so that at least each and every one of us will be up to the task. And that is, for me, that is the only solution that as a country we can do to forestall some of these problems. Because truly, when a politician is made, how do you call it, a minister or a deputy minister to oversee a ministry, you cannot run the day-to-day activities of the ministry. No. The chief directors, they are appointed by the politicians. No, through recommendation from
Civil Service Commission.
Civil Service Commission. But then maybe it is the politician that makes the recommendation. And at the end of
Are you sure? You've never been a minister before,
no,
so
no,
you can't make those conclusions. Well, I'm not too sure about that, because the civil service...
he's been, so he can...
I'm not being a minister before.
But the civil service... But you can't say the chief director. I think that's
their positions are civil service positions.
Yeah.
But
can they be influenced politically? Actually, maybe innately.
They are not supposed to take political decisions.
Exactly.
They are supposed to guide the ministers in their decisions.
Their appointments, I mean.
Yeah. That's right. But in their appointments, yes.
They come.
Ministers come and say, I can't work with this person.
So recommendations are
made. Bring me that. And some even interview for promotions to that position. Yeah. I know that politicians do
some considerations are made.
Yeah, but you see, these are people who have been in the institution, worked for so many years.
And they know these institutions.
And year in or as and when governments come and go, these same people are being recycled. No, that is the situation. And it's like the same things that they do, it is the same things that we see. Nothing has changed. I quite remember Dr. Kwesi Indum, during your time in office, he wanted to reform the public service.
Public reform.
Yes. Well, it's still a ministry under the presidency. It's still
ongoing. But the question
supposed to be ongoing. Well, nothing is happening in that respect, actually.
What is the value? Are we benefiting from the reforms? You see, that is...
Is it not because as a country we won't allow such to happen?
I'll give you an example. I happen to be a member of a board of a particular institution, okay?
No, it's public knowledge. I think we all know the board in which you... So if you say that, we know.
Okay, okay.
All right.
I'll not continue.
All right. So don't put yourself in the shoes of
I would have told you a very interesting
scenario.
story, yes, as to what politicians go through when they are given.
But that's just one side. But the politicians also make other people go through torrid times. But we need to change the subject, though. But how do we make sure that we don't have future occurrences of these? I mean, if somebody appointed in the public service has erred, and there's the need to make sure we crack the whip, it shouldn't be seen to be playing to the political gallery, but also to be seen as victimizing.
You see, as for those, everybody, so long as the appointing authority is a politician, people will find reasons to explain why they ought not to have been removed or ought not to have been punished, and find political reasons for them. But the truth of the matter is, we tend not to give the real reasons for people's removal. We tend to fear that, oh, well, let's do it quietly, you jeopardize its future, and so on. And so often the real reasons don't come out. You know that in the private sector, people are just, they say they have resigned. So you're just forced to go, but quietly you're made to resign. But they don't waste time. In our case, we set investigations, and the people are recycled. And he's here, after the investigation, nothing is heard of him. He said, oh, he's being interdicted, or he's on transfer, and the next time he resurfaces at another place, this time he's even more callous. Because he has learned that nothing will happen anyway. At worst, he will go around and come back, particularly with the civil and public servants, because the rules actually protect them. That's why in the UK, they change the rules. The minister has the power. If this is my agenda, if you can't help me to
agenda,
go, then you, the chief director, he has given you the power. People below you, if anybody is frustrating you, remove him. Then the chief director, also gives the director's power. So at every level, somebody takes responsibility.
So there's a lot more accountability in the way they work. All right, so we have to change the subject, and we know that there are news reports.
From this one, somebody was just saying that whenever NDC is in power, because the other name is National Disaster Congress.
You see the political
disasters occur all around.
All right, so I get the point. So NDC now connoting National Disaster Congress. So we have a string of disaster-related issues.